Think Gadget reviews, news, and all about it.
Windows Phone 8.1 Review. You were throwing cash at a platform that imposed too many compromises, in the user experience, in the choice of available apps, and in the platform's laggardly disregard for the cloud. In the process, you were rejecting two rivals that were demonstrably superior. But that was 12 long months ago. In a few weeks, Microsoft releases Windows Phone 8.1, an update that essentially contains little but tweaks that are intensive enough to add up to much more than a meager point release. In our week with the developer preview, we've realized that this update may yet rescue Windows Phone from its fate as a repent at leisure mistake, turning it into a credible alternative to its Google and Apple rivals. Say hello to a prettier, more flexible start screen. Back in the early days of Windows Phone 8, the fly and live tiles that are the signature of the OS drew praise and criticism in equal measure, praise for their novelty and potential, and criticism for their inflexibility and occasionally sluggish performance. In one update, WP 8.1 remedies both flaws. The animations are now lightning fast and ultra smooth, and you can customize the live tile interface to your heart's content. In fact, we reckon the new features may even seduce Android aficionados, renowned for their addiction to fiddling. Although Windows Phone has only two home screens, Start and All Apps, you can now lose hours of your life to resizing and arranging the star tiles to precisely fit your daily needs. And if you want to take things to a logical extreme, there's a new option to fit another column of tiles on the start screen. You'll need to activate it first in settings. It's set to off by default, and the tiles themselves have new resizing options, so you can fit 6 across the width of a Lumia 1020's screen. And if that wasn't thrilling enough, Microsoft's native app tiles are now transparent, with your chosen wallpaper showing in the background. Couple that with the long-standing ability to change the accent color and switch between dark and light backgrounds, the latter of which will chew through battery faster, and the options are enough to keep all but the most ardent tweaker happy. The only thing that has us slightly baffled is why the Nokia apps bundled into Windows Phone, here Maps, here Drive Plus, Mix Radio etc., lack the transparency of the native Microsoft apps. We'll hope that's sorted by the time of the full and final release in the summer. Cortana, the PA that reads your mind. The big new feature in 8.1 is a merger of the best features from iOS and Android. Cortana is a personal assistant that aims to learn about you and your habits, and adapt its answers accordingly, with results improving over time. Microsoft claims that Cortana is the result of a research effort that began back in 2009, and makes use on the company's rich well of enterprise and search data, not to mention the Halo license. And on the whole, it works well, at least it does, once you discover how to activate it. We had to change our Lumia 1020's region and language settings to United States and reboot before the Cortana icon would appear in the apps menu. Prod the Cortana icon for the first time, and you're launched into a setup routine that lets you tune the service according to your interests and daily routine. As such, it's similar to Google Now, with options for sports, headline news, places to eat, the weather and a trip planner. The similarity to Now continues with the landing page that greets you once you've finished the setup, a stack of information that includes news updates, your appointments and maps for any imminent journeys. Tap the microphone icon to the bottom right of the landing page, and you're into Cortana's voice assistant. Since it's officially US only for now, we had to temper any verdict on its performance with the knowledge that it may stumble on our plummy English tones. But even with that caveat, it seemed as accurate as Google's voice recognition, which is high praise indeed. And oddly, it appeared happier recognizing the UK English pronunciation of mobile, than the American, mobile. Go figure. Microsoft is clearly bullish about Cortana's capabilities. If you tap your Lumia's search button, it launches straight into voice recognition, which then slides into the Cortana landing page if you scroll upward. Compare this to Google Now, which launches into the landing page first. Expect Cortana to land on your UK Windows Phone in late 2014, by which time, if rumors are true, there will also be a Cortana notebook online that lets you control how much information is shared with the program. At last, Windows Phone gets notifications. You can stop holding your breath, dear world. 8.1 brings a notifications screen to Windows Phone. And just in case you're worried that Microsoft has invented some kind of unique twist on a well-established system, you can relax. 8.1's new Action Center borrows happily and heavily from iOS and Android. You accessed the Action Center by swiping down from the top of the screen. Sound familiar? To be greeted by notifications sorted and stacked by type, novel, eh? You only need to swipe to get rid of them, although curiously, you can't banish individual alerts. You either swipe away all of your Facebook notifications, or none at all. You'll find 4 quick settings buttons atop the notifications screen that would look at home on any Android handset, along with a shortcut to all of your settings. By default, the 4 quick links are set to Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, airplane mode, and rotation lock, but you can change them to your heart's content in settings. So there's nothing new or crazy in the long overdue debut of notifications on Windows Mobile, but that's absolutely fine by us. During our week with 8.1, we found everything where we expected it to be, and working as it should. For a platform that has sometimes refused to do either of those things, we couldn't ask for any more. If you've recently updated Windows 8.1 on your PC, you'll recognize Universal Search immediately. Run a query, and you can swipe between the Bing-powered results across 5 tabs: Web, Local, Images, Video, and Phone. The results are accurate, look great, and the layout is eminently sensible and quick to access. Compare this to the desktop Windows 8 version, where the horizontal scrolling of results is something of a barrier. Quite how useful you find it day to day will naturally depend on your habits. As we found over weeks with 8.1's desktop equivalent, there's usually a quicker way to access a contact, for example, by pinning them to your start screen. But if you're the type who fires off high volumes of random queries, Universal Search is a useful second home. The only slight foible we could find was the short delay before results appeared as you swipe between the screens. It's not long enough to be off-putting, but noticeable enough to make you wonder why Microsoft didn't choose to have the tabbed results load in the background, while you scan the first screen. Google Sync, the calendar's back. As a result of a wrangle between Google and Microsoft over Exchange Active Sync, EAS, Windows 8 users with Google Apps for Business accounts have been unable to sync their Google calendars with the default Windows Calendar app since March 2013. The good news is that 8.1 ends their misery. Add a Google Apps account in Settings, and your Windows Phone will happily start syncing both your Gmail and Google calendars. You'll find one new screen to join an older partner in Windows Phone 8.1 settings. DataSense meets StorageSense. The former's a welcome addition to Windows Mobile, to the point where it's easy to overlook it in a review. What do you mean it wasn't there before? As with notifications, Microsoft has kept to the basics and presented them well. StorageSense shows how much space you've used, both on internal and external storage, while letting you switch storage locations for music, photos, apps and downloads. DataSense lets you cap your data usage, both with a hard limiter, and also through restricting background data. Simple, unoriginal, but very effective.